The arena floor trembled beneath the weight of the Kethvar as it prowled in its reinforced cage. Jackson Chen pressed his face against the observation window, watching the massive predator pace with fluid grace. Its crystalline scales caught the harsh arena lights, throwing prismatic rainbows across the blood-stained sand below. "You're insane if you think you can tame that thing," Lily Martinez whispered, her breath fogging the reinforced glass. Her fingers traced the scars on her forearm, souvenirs from their last encounter with Kethvar hunters in the Proxima system. Jackson didn't respond immediately. His dark eyes followed the creature's movements, cataloging every twitch of its serpentine tail, every flare of its gill-like sensors. The Kethvar stood 12 feet at the shoulder, its 6 limbs ending in claws that could shear through starship hull plating. According to the Galactic Bestiary, it was classified as an apex extinction event, a creature so dangerous that entire worlds had been sterilized rather than risk its spread. "The Thraxi made a mistake," Jackson said finally, his voice barely audible above the crowd's roar in the arena stands above them. "They think chains and cages define control." Lily grabbed his arm. "Jackson, listen to me. Every species in the galaxy fears these things. The Confederation banned their transport. Even the hegemony won't touch them. There's a reason why." The sudden crack of snapping metal cut her off. The Kethvar had tested its restraints one too many times. The reinforced durasteel links that had held it for 3 solar cycles finally gave way with a sound like thunder. Pandemonium erupted in the arena stands. Thraxi spectators, their insectoid forms clicking in terror, stampeded toward the exits. Emergency klaxons wailed as blast shields began descending, sealing off escape routes with methodical slowness. The Kethvar emerged from its cage like liquid death, every movement purposeful and predatory. Its sensory organs swept the arena, categorizing threats and prey. When its gaze fell upon the observation window where Jackson and Lily stood, it froze. "The emergency teleporter," Lily hissed, backing toward the corner where the evacuation device waited. "We can be on our ship in seconds." Jackson stepped forward instead, placing his palm against the glass. "No. Jackson!" "Look at it, Lily. Really look." She forced herself to stop retreating and observe the Kethvar more carefully. The creature hadn't moved since spotting them. Its head tilted at an angle that seemed almost curious. The predatory tension in its frame had shifted to something else entirely. "It's been caged for 3 years, Jackson continued, his voice taking on the calm tone he used when analyzing xenobiology data. "Fed on schedule, poked and prodded by handlers, forced to fight for entertainment. But look at its scars, those aren't from other Kethvar. They're from the neural suppressors the Thraxi use." The creature's gill sensors fluttered, and a sound emerged from its throat. Not the bone-chilling roar they expected, but something softer, more complex. "Almost like..." "It's trying to communicate," Lily breathed. The observation window began retracting, designed to provide arena masters better access to manage their attractions. Neither human moved as the barrier between them and the apex predator disappeared entirely. Jackson stepped into the arena. "No weapons," he said to Lily without turning around. No sudden movements. The Kethvar watched him approach, its massive head tracking his movement with laser focus. When Jackson was within striking distance, close enough that those terrible claws could end him in a heartbeat, he stopped and simply stood there. They stared at each other across 3 feet of empty space. Jackson had studied predator psychology across dozens of worlds. He understood the language of dominance and submission that transcended species barriers. But this wasn't about dominance. This was about recognition. The Kethvar saw something in Jackson's eyes, something that the Thraxi handlers, with their neural prods and feeding schedules, had never possessed. Respect, understanding, the acknowledgement of one apex predator by another. Slowly, deliberately, Jackson lowered himself to one knee. The effect was immediate. The Kethvar's aggressive posture melted away. It settled onto its belly, bringing its massive head down to Jackson's eye level. The gill sensors along its neck pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, not the harsh reds of aggression, but soft blues and purples. Communication. "Impossible," Lily whispered from the observation platform. Around the arena, the few Thraxi who hadn't fled stood frozen in shock. In 10,000 years of galactic civilization, no one had ever successfully approached a Kethvar without weapons or barriers. Jackson extended his hand slowly, palm up. The Kethvar stretched forward and gently touched his fingers with the tip of its snout. The contact lasted only seconds, but in that moment, an understanding passed between them that transcended language. The creature had been a prisoner, not a monster. It had been stolen from its world, its pack, its purpose, and forced to perform for the entertainment of lesser beings who couldn't comprehend what they had captured. Jackson saw the intelligence behind those faceted eyes, not animal cunning, but genuine sapience. The Kethvar weren't just apex predators. They were people. "You want to go home?" he said softly. The Kethvar's response was a low, harmonious sound that resonated through the arena floor. Agreement, gratitude, hope. When Jackson stood, the creature rose with him, moving to his side like a loyal companion. Together they walked toward where Lily waited, her expression cycling through amazement, terror, and pride. "How?" she asked as they approached. Jackson glanced back at his unlikely ally. Sometimes the strongest chains aren't made of metal. They're made of fear, misunderstanding, and the assumption that might makes right. Break those chains. He reached up to gently touch the Kethvar's scaled neck, and you might find you were never facing a monster at all. The Kethvar rumbled its agreement, and for the first time in 3 years, the sound carried no trace of captivity. Only the promise of freedom, and the bond between two beings who recognized each other's true nature. Above them, the arena's emergency systems finally completed their lockdown protocols, sealing empty stands and silent corridors. But down in the arena itself, something unprecedented had occurred. The moment when humanity's greatest strength revealed itself not through conquest or domination, but through the simple act of seeing another being's dignity and responding with their own.